Zach and Shelby Owens. I have a question for you, and that is did you pay off 130 grand in debt in 90 days? That's where we're starting. And everyone can say hi to you too. How about this? Instead of just attacking you with that, because that is going to be the first thing I do want to know.
Right.
But I actually would like you to introduce yourself to everybody a little bit. Okay. How do we meet? How do we get to know each other? How do we have the relationship that we do today? That I have the honor, and Denise is here as well.
Hello. I'm taking Aisley's place for today.
We have the honor of seeing you guys grow and get better every single day, which is really cool. So
yeah.
Cool.
Where do we start at?
So I'm Shelby. This is Zach.
I'm Zach.
You want to introduce yourself?
Mm-hmm. You just did.
Okay, great.
Thanks. I'm Zach.
We're from Indiana.
Shelby doesn't get nervous at all and can you just make the face for us?
I can't make the face. I'll get in trouble.
Let's get over with.
Just get out of the way.
I'm not doing it.
We'll get it out of you.
Yeah. I don't know where to start. So as far as,
well, how did we meet? How did we?
Well, going on 3 years ago, we signed up for the group and just kind of escalated from there. I mean, we're going on 3 years, but just joined the group. And
so you're an agent. So you're an agent now. Were you an agent 3 years ago?
I was. So
did you join? So you were actively looking for something to invest in that you could improve your licensed business with, or like your realty with, or like what were you looking to do?
So no, honestly, to start off with, like I was getting my license to start out with to leave my 9 to 5 because.
What'd you have as 9 to 5?
I was an engineer technician for a pharmaceutical company.
What does an engineer technician for a pharmaceutical company do?
Yeah, that's fancy.
I write processes on how to do everything. So I was writing processes and step by step.
It's like so exciting.
Yeah, you get so excited about she gets so excited about operational stuff.
That's what it was, like telling everybody how to do it step by step. Use this hammer for this step. But no, honestly, I started with that. I was getting my license, but the whole purpose for me to get my license was to get into investment.
Okay.
Or get into investing. But that didn't work out. So I left my 9 to 5 job, became a full-time agent, and just kind of stayed with that for a few years.
The investing didn't work, or the agent, like what didn't work? What you said something didn't work out there. What didn't work out?
So my intentions
were, and the reason I want to go deeper into that, because there's a lot of people
right
that their goal within real estate is to escape whatever they are doing for their quote unquote 9 to 5 at that time.
So at the time, I was going to get my license, become an agent, but utilize that to get into investing. But once I got my license, kind of jumped all in, full-time agent, and started buying. I was getting into the what do you call it, the shiny object syndrome, and just really doing everything everybody was telling me to as an agent. So kind of got distracted as far as getting into investing.
Yeah.
So focused on that, spent a lot of money on getting started as an agent. So that's kind of where it all started, really.
You fell into the 9 to 5 life of an agent instead of
a
pharmaceutical manufacturing technician, engineer, scriptwriter.
Yes,
operations.
All that.
I think I nailed that.
But that was it. Like I was trying to get out of that, but that's also what I got back into as an agent. Because like I said, they make it sound like become an agent, you're gonna make all this money from the get go, and I was buying into that, and I spent a lot of money my first year or two buying all this stuff that I didn't need.
Yeah,
trying to make that work. So
they're very good at selling it.
They are.
They're very good at selling because if you don't remember, I started as an agent.
Right.
That was where I was going to get into real estate because I thought that was the best place to learn, and then I realized it was just a way to teach me how to pass a poorly written test, and then I had to learn real estate, and then I learned that I didn't want to be an agent. I didn't want to be in an office again.
How long have you been an agent for?
Going on 7 years.
7 years.
So, I didn't realize it had been that long.
It has. So yeah, I'm going on my 7th year. But go back to, like I said, I jumped into agent because, like I said, I was going to make all this money first couple of years, Like I was more in debt after I became an agent because, you can't sell houses, from day one. It takes a little bit of time. But so I had to go back to the 9 to 5. So I went to work for the school corporation. I was over the maintenance department for the school corporation. That's how I met her. So I was part-time agent.
So I guess that
part-time
worked.
9 to 5.
I guess that worked out.
Yeah.
I guess that.
So that's how we got together. But
Shelby's like, "You're welcome."
yeah. But
And then he found me.
yeah.
Yes.
No, I found Shelby. So no, it wasn't like an instant thing, but yeah, that's was my intentions to get my license and to buy all these short sales and foreclosures. But there again, it wasn't that quick of a process. I mean, this probably took, I don't know, 3 or 4 years really before I even got to the investment side of things.
Yeah. So you're in it for 3-4 years before you're in the investment side. It's roughly around the time that we meet.
It is.
At that point. We're not super close at that point, but we meet.
Yep.
And then we've really become close over the course of the past, I would say, year. And then exponentially close over the past 6 months. Would
Yeah.
you call
Absolutely.
that accurate?
Definitely.
And then, which I'm glad you segued into this. How did you pay off 130 grand in debt in 90 days?
Good choices, making good choices, realizing.
Well, first of all, let's back up one step.
Okay.
How do you get into 130 grand in debt?
Poor choices.
Dude, that was poor choices. Yeah.
Taking
Yeah.
the easy way out, using whatever we had to do to survive or whatever. Like poor choices. That's what it boils down to.
Right.
Not
We were in survival mode for so long.
like everybody else. Yes, you can make money, but what do you do with it? How do you protect it or how do you utilize it in the right way? But we didn't know. Didn't matter what we had coming in. We still let it go out, quicker than it was coming in. So
Also, in our conversations, we talked a lot about avoidance of like the actual problem too, which I think you've experienced a lot of healing from, even just talking about some of those things.
Oh, yeah.
as far as like just having debt or any finances in
Yeah,
general,
yeah, like
absolutely.
just avoiding, not wanting to
Yeah, that was
like look at it. Yeah,
With their
well. I mean, just for us, like it was like if we ever talked about finances, it was always like it was just a sore subject. It's like just don't
It was
acknowledge
always a
it. It's
fight.
going to go
It was
away.
a fight. Let's be
yeah, I mean,
honest.
it was
It
frustration.
was always a fight, and now
We didn't know how to handle it. It's
Right.
like we were in denial, but
Was it one person always bringing it up? Because so it's not like money was a source of pain.
I was always the one bringing it up. I tend to push buttons.
not
Give me
that. I mean, it's
how
just-
would you bring it up? Give me an example of bringing it up.
So it was usually around like when bills were coming out. So
Okay.
if we had a big lump sum of bills that had to come out, I'd be like, okay, our numbers aren't together. Like, what do you have coming in?
Yeah.
Which was a product of just not managing or acknowledging
not knowing.
what our money was.
right. That's the thing. It's like there was
What it
no
was.
systems in place or no communication. It's like we want this, so we go buy it. Can we afford it? We don't know, but we're going to go buy it.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of protecting our money or
So that adds up to 130,000
it does.
real fast.
Yeah, I mean, within a couple of years, like it's,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, like there again, like nothing was really consistent. We were both at the school at the time. We left the school about 3 years ago, and we were making more money, but there again, there wasn't anything in place as far as like I said, the communication or good choices.
You were making more, but it would just go out anyways.
Yeah.
You'd be in the same roller coaster situation where you'd feel good about making a higher check or a new amount, and that would last for 48 hours, maybe.
Right.
Maybe 48 to 72 hours if you're lucky.
Usually it was spent before.
Yeah, you're actually that new money
That
would
money
come
came
in and
in.
it was already spent. You would actually have to catch up with something.
Absolutely.
So many people are in that situation, man. Like you'd
It
be
is. It's a
blown
vicious
away.
cycle.
Yeah.
And then
And
you
it's
get
a
in that
cycle of pain. It's a cycle of pain too. So you end up staying in it.
Very much. Very much.
Right. And we didn't know how to get out. That was the thing. It's like it is a cycle. Just because you make more money,
Yeah.
if you don't change your habits or practice good, I mean that's not going to change.
that's
But
right.
we knew we wanted out, right? So
Yeah.
that was the caveat. And then this opportunity with with you guys came about without a doubt all God's timing, and then it was just like
What were
happened.
happened? What were the? And I do want to get before we're done. I want to make sure it's a reminder to everybody. I want to make sure to get to that feeling of actually being out,
Right.
because you are out.
Yeah.
And that's even a process in itself of accepting that you're out and you don't have to go back to trauma.
Whole nother process. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole nother process. So I want to make sure that we hit that before the end of this, but I want to ask you something else before that. And that is that, what is the actual steps that you took then? Like, if you think about the way that you're treating money today versus what you were even a year ago, it happens in such a short period of time.
It does.
Like, once you follow the proper steps, it happens so quickly. I say all the time, I've said on this podcast before, oh, I mean, you can pay off 30 or 40 grand in debt without making any more money in probably 90 days if you do it right. And people are like, how?
First thing, just talking about it. That was the big thing for us. Like, talking about it, and I step by talking about, like, opening the books. Like, okay, where are we at?
Spreadsheet.
So you're gonna call step one reflecting and understanding where you're actually at.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
you have to, I mean, you can't go in any other direction without knowing where you're at first. And that's where it starts at. It's like, all right, we're at this point. What's that map look like from here? But yeah, I mean, you got to realize and accept you're at this point. Okay, where do we go from here? And that was a key factor for us. Like, just truly talking about it.
Would you say that first step right there of truly writing down or mapping out and seeing the numbers in front of you, was that the most painful step?
Absolutely. For me, it was.
Yeah.
Because like when we did the balance sheet, it's like, there again, we didn't know what our balances were. Like, we knew, how bad it's going to be, but until we actually saw it in black and white, it's like, okay. But then again, as soon as we had that number, it's like, okay, this is a lot of money, but still, like, where do we go from here? And that's, so we can take the next step.
So step one, learn and understand where you're actually at today. Physical hard numbers in front of you, laid out. You can't run from it. You have to face it. You have to accept it. You have to be okay with it.
Yeah, accept it and face it. And, that, like I said, that was truly, I think, my pivotal moment as far as, like I said, seeing it in black and white, because even then I was like, when I personally did it, I had to write that out. It's like, these are our debts, these were poor choices. Like, it makes you accept or realize, like, hey, we really didn't need this. But yet we're paying for it, or we chose this. So
We had done that several times, like just on a piece of paper. But
like ballparked it.
yeah,
right,
Yeah.
several times we had ballparked it, and then it wasn't until we sat down, made an Excel spreadsheet, and it tallied it up, and we knew exactly to the penny where we were. And then it wasn't. I think another pivotal moment wasn't a matter of like, oh my gosh, how did we get here? It's where do we go from here?
Mm-hmm.
So the decision to not live that way anymore was kind of in that moment.
Yeah, get out of the denial of it. Because once we accepted that, it is what it is. We can fix this. Like, it's like I think not knowing was harder than anything else for me. We're just running from it.
Well, that's shame. So shame is powered by fear, and basically lurks in the shadows. It lurks in quiet. So if you just stay away from it, right, it continues to grow and grow and grow and grow, and that's how it attacks you and compounds over time. So that's why it's so painful to put the numbers in front of you, not ballpark it, but actual, like, real, physical, tangible numbers. And that's why you immediately felt better, because there was no shame around it anymore.
No.
Because you knew you didn't avoid it anymore, and you faced it.
Yeah.
It helps too when the two people, or in our case, because we did it together, when the space that you're doing that is a comfortable place, like a safe place, and that there's no judgment. And when you guys went into that, you went into that with, like, we're not going to hold it against one another for the decisions. And that's very important, because you make the decision to forgive one another for whatever has come, or whatever decision you made before to get you to where you are.
Right.
Yeah.
And to move forward without penalizing one another while moving forward.
Because even then, like the first time we did it together, and like just to be transparent, we were scared, like, for you guys to see it. Like, it's our debt, but it's like, all right, are they going to, what are they going to say? They're going to, but that's how we see it with anybody. It's like, it's debt. It's not a good thing, but, it's poor choices. But, that, and the thing is, like I said, we were tallying that up before we started all this. We would write it down. I remember the day we were sitting in our vehicle writing it down. I still got it. It's like, the plan was, here's our debt. Next 2 or 3 years, we can have this paid off. And, and then it escalated from there. But
Did escalate.
2, 3 years, 90 days. Yeah, what's the difference?
a few months.
So not building resentment. Here's why finance should never have a space for resentment between two people. When were you taught this? Never. Nobody's ever taught it. Mm-mm. It's not taught anywhere. It's not passed down. The only thing passed down in finances is trauma.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Go on. Yes.
Nope.
Yeah.
I will not go on, but I agree.
Yeah,
very much agree.
Yeah, fine. Yeah,
habits that you've been taught.
That's
you've witnessed or you saw.
But you don't know any different.
What you experience.
Right.
That's what you experience. So that's what gets passed down to you.
Right.
Like there has to be a serious conscious thought and practice around teaching finance for someone to be brought up in a healthy way around finance, which just doesn't happen.
It doesn't.
Extraordinarily rare.
No, I mean, you can go out once you're 18 or whatever and get a credit card, but nobody tells you how to.
Nobody tells you anything. Yeah, nobody tells you anything about it. Or you can't get a beer, but you can take out $100,000 in student loans.
Yeah. Right.
So we can talk about the differences there. So understanding that not having resentment between the two parties is really, really important. A lot of people will be able to take a lot from that because they will literally look at the person they're supposed to be loving the most.
Yeah.
And they'll just see poor money habits or a poor decision and be mad at the person. And you can't solve anything like that. You can't solve anything from a negative space. So that's why it continues to spiral.
Yeah, and that was always my thing. It's like, not that I was mad at you for asking. It was like I was ashamed or mad at myself. There again, it just goes back to shame or fear of.
Yep. Having grace for yourself is a great start for even getting this off the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like once that was pulled off, that cover or whatever, it's like, hey, this is where we're at. It just even the next time we did the balance sheet, it's like
you were excited to do it.
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like we know where we're at, so there again, we got a map in place and we just follow that. So
all right, so you'll wrap up step 1 as awareness, actually taking the step to put the real numbers in front of you, no matter how good or bad you think they are.
Yeah.
All right, what's the second step then? What are the actual steps that you're taking today? Because now you get into what you're going to practice. Because now that you know what it is, how are you practicing?
What do you think step 2 is?
Well, you do something very specific every time you get paid. I'll give you a hint.
We pay ourselves first.
Pay yourself. Pay yourself.
How do you do that? How are you doing that?
So we have a separate account just for our self-pay account. We take 10% is what we started out with, no matter what it was. If it was her paycheck, one of my commission checks, or one of our properties or whatever, like instantly, that's just what it went to.
Mm-hmm. And it started off with 10%.
Yeah.
And consistently it's 10%. But sometimes it's more than 10%. Sometimes it's...
But just starting
it's never
that,
less than that.
But sticking to that.
Yeah, that's the minimum.
Yes.
But that turned into our dopamine hit. Like,
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, just seeing that balance increase, we're paying bills, but we're still seeing our personal savings. It's just...
Because we actually go to this bank. It's a separate bank from where we normally bank.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually go to the bank, put the cash in.
Get that hit.
Get the
Oh my goodness.
little sheet back and send it to each other. And that's just like...
Yeah. But I mean, like, we're paying ourselves. Like, we're still paying bills. We're paying ourselves. We're watching that grow. And it's like, it's... I don't know. I mean, it's hard to explain. But like I said, we're feeding that and watching it grow,
That step in itself allowed you to move from paycheck to paycheck to having reserves.
Very quickly.
You didn't have to make anything more than you already were.
No.
Because when you don't have principles and rules that you follow, money disappears. It'll be spent. It'll go. So what that really does, what that's really doing is it's getting that money away from you.
I actually wanted to say it's so important that when you're healing from like bad decisions and you're learning to be good stewards of finances or money, that you celebrate. So I think what you're calling the dopamine hit is just like you being able to celebrate one another, that you're making good decisions and you're continuing to do that. And so that's really huge.
It is. Yeah. I mean, for us, like I said, before, like I said, it was always, I say before, like, there was no celebrating. It was always, just animosity or just, fear or whatever, as far as knowing that we got to pay bills or we don't have any money put back. But now it's like that we celebrate, our wins. But yeah, I mean, just paying ourselves first, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It just changes your mindset.
It makes you want to do it again.
Yeah. Absolutely, every time.
It's such a habit now for us to do it that we didn't even think about it as a step in this process.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's why I was like, you're already skipping. It's so natural. It's so natural. It's so natural at this point.
It is
that you get to overlook it because it's a habit. Most people think like, oh, I have to be so disciplined and it's going to be so painful. How long did that take to become a true habit where you don't even think about it anymore?
I don't know, a month or two. I mean, really, it was almost instantly.
Because you got you get a dopamine hit off of something good and positive for your life. It's long lasting. Mm-hmm. It's not fleeting. It's not the scroll. It's not the doom scroll. It's not the money spent. It's not the new thing. It's not the thing that doesn't last. It's long lasting.
Right. Mm-hmm. And there again, like I said, it's in a separate account. And it's 30 minutes from us. Like it's a totally different city where we're at. So we had to physically go there, So, but we're excited for it. Like I said, we'll drive there. And it's like we go out there and we deposit it, and it's
Todd's laughing at us.
You got a little date.
Yeah.
A little bank date.
Yep.
Where are we going? We're going to make a deposit.
Going to the bank. But it is a habit now. Like I said, it's just part of a routine. But it's a huge step now. I mean, I think truly it's what's changed everything or escalated everything for us.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so that's step 2. Step 1, I'm going to keep some of this up too, that way people can apply it. Step 1 is become aware, put it in front of you. Step 2 is to pay yourself first. Mm-hmm. Well, what's step 3 then?
Practice well.
Practice
Repeat.
well?
Yeah.
When you say practice well, because I don't disagree with that. Practice well, the question becomes, okay, I'm paying myself first, but how am I paying off this extra debt faster? When you do that, okay, you start putting debt on a plan, right?
Yeah.
Better plan. Because when you know what it is and you're paying yourself first and you're building reserves and you have capital in front of you, you start recognizing, if I got rid of this, I can put more into me. So you started becoming more aggressive and understanding and looking at, you really combine 2 steps here. The next 2 steps, in my opinion, that you're practicing well is putting debt on a plan and then understanding true value. So you started to look at the assets and things that you had and going, okay, this is the income that we make from realty. This is the income that we make from your job, the appraisal company. And then we have the income that we were making from the couple assets that we have, because you had bought a duplex.
Yeah.
And because you wanted to be on the investment side. How long had you owned the duplex for?
A year is when we.
It was like right out of year.
It was like right at a year, actually.
Yeah.
It was like almost exactly 12 months.
Yeah. But our intentions were to keep it as a long-term asset, for the monthly income. But it didn't align with our plan that we had put in place as far as paying off debt and, securing all that.
Which, funny enough, is the one time that you accidentally practiced paying yourself, which was buying the duplex. The duplex was able to pay off a portion of your debt.
A big portion of it.
Because you were able to look at that and go, what's the true value of this thing? Okay, I net a few $100s a month off of it, which is great, but I also have a ton of equity sitting in it now because of the actions that I've taken, and I've practiced well, and I did my job well. Now this could become a 10x return of what it actually is, because it's going to pay off these debts, and I'm going to have more cash flow from it just by eliminating those debts. That gets to go into my self-pay account immediately, so that your self-pay grows.
Right, and that was the conversation, because that was a question we asked. It's like,
it's a nice cycle. If only something was called wealth cycles.
Yeah.
Only a thing called that.
If only there was.
If only.
Because we were looking at that $300 monthly. We thought income coming from the duplex, as a rental. Okay, but if we sold that, what does that free up? Like, it wasn't $300. Like, it was actually putting us in debt at that point. So the choice was to sell it and pay off the debt and free up a lot of that.
Yeah. Which, by the way, was just a portion, too, because the other thing that happens when you do this is a lot of people will move up and down in their actions and in their level of consistency. So they'll be, man, I'm just on fire this week. If I could just feel like this all the time, and I'm done for 2 weeks. And then I'm on fire for a week, and then I'm done for 3 weeks. And then I'm on fire for a week or 10 days. And then their income follows that.
Yeah.
But when you pay yourself first, what ends up happening is you end up building consistency in your life. So what happened to your actions in your business? They're just...
Took off.
They just took off. Like,
Yeah.
your results in your business took off because you started being a better steward of capital.
Yeah. It was more consistent. And like you said,
Exactly.
that was the thing I always struggle with. Like I said, to be honest, like I said, we had the debt. So, if I would have any kind of downward spiral or I should say cycle, I'd be off for a few weeks or a few months. As we joke, I take the quarter off, at the beginning of the year. So, then we would see if bills were coming up, I would jump right back in and, just hustle, get the bills paid. Then, and then.
Because you're panicking.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's survival mode.
And that's all it ever was survival mode. We could do it, but it's like you're so exhausted just from trying to survive. But, there again, once we got...
Well, that's where you had a connection between your emotions with money and your work habit, basically, right? Because your emotions were up and down because you would have lump sums, but you didn't know how to manage that well, so your emotions didn't go with the money.
No.
Right? And so then as you started being consistent in the principles, practicing the principles, you stopped being so up and down within your work habit and your emotional state of being, because you weren't.
No, no. Like I said, it was.
You became sustainable.
Yeah. So I took the emotion out because like I said that was the big thing. Like the emotion was we've got to pay bills. So like I said, it was survival. But once we got to a point where, it wasn't survival anymore. It was consistency, and like I said, it just kind of balanced itself out.
It doesn't mean that you never feel like an emotion of like, oh, this is going to be a challenging month or whatever. But
Or this bill sucks.
You're consistent in your stewarding well, that you are able to be more emotionally stable, and because you're more emotionally stable, you're able to sustain your work consistency.
Yeah. Well, so the thing with me, it was like, the thing is, I'm hustling, and all the money that I know that's coming in is already spent. It's to pay debt off or just to get through from month to month. So, there's already, what do you want to call it? Like I said, it's already spent. So where's the excitement at? Where's the joy? So once we started implementing self-pay, okay, we're paying ourselves. That's where the excitement is coming from. Like, we're paying ourselves first. So that's bringing that emotion into, as far as, we're paying ourselves first. We're seeing that grow. We're paying bills. So that's what is the consistency for me.
Yeah, you can have excitement come from something positive for your life versus just something that's short term.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it's hard to stay consistent. Like I said, when you've already got it all spent, when I said it's spent, like everything you've got, just to survive. But yeah, the self pay is a big change for us.
I have a question, Shelby. How have you seen the changes in your husband? Like, what have been the biggest changes that you've seen with him?
Peace and contentment are the words that I'm going to use. The momentum in the business took off as soon as all of this shifted. So, like, he went through a stage of hustle like he usually did. And then it came to, he was ready to not. Like, so, like, kind of those dips is what we called them.
Yeah, the dips are exhausting.
They are.
Like, they'll take more out of you than the actual, like, afterburn of going after something.
Right.
Yeah.
So
People think it's rest, but it's not.
No.
and it's exhausting on like a relationship.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, it's
all
so
levels.
exhausting on the spouse because they have to watch them go through it. They have to deal with them. They have to deal with them dealing with it.
Well,
Ask
but
me,
you saw
ask
you,
me how I know.
Ask me how I know.
you saw them coming Friday. Like you already knew they were coming, but like some just you don't see it because they're again like it's always been survival mode. I don't know any different.
I
or see
did,
different.
but we started all this with like you would be at the top of a mountain and then the very end of the valley, and then you take the quarter off, like we joke and everything. But like those have become ripples now. They're not dips and valleys; they're ripples. And
That's a cool
he
way of putting it.
sleeps at night.
Yeah,
That's
that's
weird.
awesome.
I know. Like
What's that? Yeah.
it's not a. It's not
What
like
is that?
constantly exhaustion and like thinking
It does. It changes
poorly,
everything.
Poorly on himself and what he like how he, like it's just everything. You can feel in our whole house that it's just all shifted and changed, and
Okay, Zach, what have been the biggest changes you've seen with Shelby after implementing these principles?
That's a lot the same. The peace, you know, her comfort level, you know, she's the comfort, the stress, you know, the stress isn't there. Just I don't know, just the excitement. Like we're planning a lot more, and just like we're moving forward. It's not, you know, you had to walk on eggshells because like you know we get to talk about finances or like you know bills are coming up or like you're giving me space because you know I'm exhausted. But I think truly as far as our relationship is at peace, you know. So
not that finances are all of that. Like finances are just like the counter effect of like we've realigned our lives with our faith and our habits and everything else, and the finances like it's all just
A
come
byproduct
with
of
it,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just all good choices that we've chose to make. Like,
yeah, but your fire's back too. Like it's not just like you know the business side of things, you know that, but it's like for you personally too. Like I see your fire, like you know, like you're realizing like, hey, you know, we can go after your goals or your wants or dreams. So
yeah, I mean, I
it's-
had a dream of being this is silly. A dream of being a farmer, right? I
That's
mean,
not silly. Why is that
like,
silly?
That's what
We need farmers.
You're not wrong. I was raised on a farm. Like I
Why? You
have
just
a-
buy groceries at the grocery
No.
store.
Just buy they just come.
all the same.
Yeah, right.
Just
They
buy
just
food. I just
magically
buy
show up.
DoorDash delivers it.
That's how it comes. But like I always had the mentality, and this kind of goes back to your trauma thing of, you can't farm and not have a job outside of the farm.
Mm-hmm.
So when we really started our one-on-ones, like it hit me that it was like, yeah, like a farm would be a business to run on top of, you know, real estate as a business. So like agriculture is a passion for me, and real estate is a vehicle.
Yeah, the agriculture becomes the business and the real estate's the investment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most people think finance is their root of their problem. Well, if I just didn't have this money problem, I would be good. But they don't recognize that the root of their problem is their trauma and their character. Because the money doesn't solve anything, just gets them to their problem in a Bentley. And then
Right.
they have to solve their problem.
Doesn't go
It
away.
just magnifies whoever they already are.
And that's why I wanted to bring that up. That it was like just because like we've paid off that much in debt and we're doing okay.
Again, how
like,
much did you pay off in debt? How much?
136,000.
Woo!
Isn't that amazing?
In a few
That's
months.
incredible.
That doesn't suck.
Does not suck. Because that was there again.
He did that in like 90 days.
Yeah,
It was like 90.
it
Yeah,
was.
without a
Yeah.
doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
And we've got equity now, but
You got a lot of equity now.
And what are you currently working on?
a lot of real estate agent deals. I don't know. We're getting another deal. That's what
I think she might be leaning towards the staking of the property.
What did you do?
Oh, yeah,
You
the
staked?
pink
I thought we was
flags.
talking about
Oh yeah. Like wait, no big deal.
our the North Star.
Yeah.
Our North Star. We've staked out and laid out our dream home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That neither one of us thought was possible.
Yeah, that's
It was
incredible.
all just a pipe dream. Like, oh, we'll build here someday. That'll be great. And
there's an actual plan behind it now. And all starting from just looking at your numbers.
Yeah. Realizing we're
Just being honest with ourselves.
That's really what it is. It has actually nothing to do with the numbers, and it has everything to do with becoming honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Which was like the perfect segue into like what I wanted to talk about earlier was, okay, so you're becoming honest with yourself and you step into a place of like, I want peace and consistency. There is a time in which you have to get used to that because you're used to trauma and fire and brimstone.
Chaos.
Yeah, and operating in it. You will actually subconsciously create chaos to operate in it.
And that was a big thing for me to overcome or to accept, because once we leveled out the chaos, I was still looking for it. It's like, all right, where's it at?
Why don't I have to hustle as hard today?
Yeah. So I hear,
Yeah.
again, I was starting to anticipate the dips, or that's always been the cycle. But like I don't think it's a dip anymore. Like I said, it is a ripple. In the past 5 or 6 months, which that's a long time for me, it's been consistent.
Mm-hmm.
I can say no now to certain deals or transactions. Like, no, it doesn't fit. What we're looking for. So I'm not desperate to say yes to everything.
You're an agent with a standard?
I know.
Oh my
incredible.
gosh, that's actually
Can't
unheard
say
of.
no.
Anybody
You
with their
can't.
license right now is going, you can't have a standard.
Right.
What's a weekend?
Well,
If you're sleeping, you're disrespecting your client.
But that's the other side of things. As an agent, there's two sides to this. We've got our personal real estate business, as far as flipping houses or rentals. But as an agent, there again, same practices. That's taken off. We're almost up to 30 listings in the last 5-6 months. Versus I had, I think,
It's wild.
Wild.
8 or 10 last year. There again, just be
You did between
consistent.
8 and 10 last year, and you're at 30 this year?
Yeah.
That's some compounding right there.
Also, I
Next
want to
year's
bring
exciting.
something else up, which might make you uncomfortable, but you know that I like to do that sometimes.
No.
Oh, I can't.
Oh, no.
Zach is a very humble man,
Very good
And-
looking, too.
Oh, thank you.
and
Where's this going?
Don't disagree.
and
Humble.
so I like to celebrate him. He was number 4 licensation, number 4.
For my area?
Yeah, for your
Yeah,
area.
volume wise. Yeah, I'm one of the top
And
agents
that's
right now.
that's an incredible
That's pretty impressive.
goal.
Yeah.
Not even
to hit,
realizing it. Yeah.
yeah.
Just-
Right, it wasn't even a goal. Like, it's just
It's
another byproduct.
Yes.
Right.
of
Isn't it
everything.
weird how how all these things happen? You go, this is everything I've ever wanted, and then you recognize like all I had to do was become the actual best me for all of this to happen. Like things start, they start leaving the pedestal of like you looking up at it when you recognize that like, oh, I can actually have any of these things. It's just I had to become the person capable of having those things. And then funny enough, the person capable of having those things doesn't have those things on a pedestal, so you're not even worried about having it anymore.
Right.
Absolutely.
And it goes back to taking the blinders off. Like, what's weighing you down? So realizing and accepting what's the true weight there.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a few things, but just relieving or getting that weight off you, and like I said, just moving forward with good practices. But it's carried over to everything at this point. I feel like
Everything.
business,
All the
both
components.
businesses, and even with your work. I mean, let's talk about that. You're 9 to 5.
Well, if I would say the biggest thing with your work was like, it was very traditional in a sense of like, sometimes you're all right going and sometimes you really don't want to go. There was never like a want to go. It was just, I have to do this. This is something
Right.
that I'm doing, right?
Right.
Yep.
I find it funny that I think what you're touching on here is
Part of the original North Star.
part of the original North Star was giving you the option of being there if you want to be there. And now that you have the option to be there, you're like, it's not so bad.
Right. Right. Which is whenever we realized like it was true financial suffering
Yes.
that we were experiencing, or I was experiencing, like when I was, in those days of dreading going to work, like that's because
Part of survival
I
mode.
had to be there. I felt like I had to be in that position in order to
Yeah.
have any income. And now, I mean, it's
Well, yeah, I mean,
so
like I
now
said-
I enjoy what I do.
And you're like, yeah.
Kind of weird.
because that
How
requirement
hard is
of you having to be there, like I said, you don't have to be there, but like I said before, it was like you had to be there to cover the bills. Like if we were in that dip, you're offsetting that, and it's like it had to happen. Like you had to be there. But yeah, I mean, you come home and you leave it at work now. Like it's changed that too.
Yeah.
And you leave the struggles at work. You don't have to bring that home anymore.
Sure don't.
Isn't it?
I don't really have that many struggles at work.
Not now.
Right. Like, I don't see them as struggles. They're
And-
not frustrations. It's just,
They weren't real problems, you know.
Yeah.
yeah.
And nothing
Well,
about
wait,
the job
I wanna say
changed.
something.
It was never the job's fault.
Well,
Oh, no.
Right.
yeah.
Never.
before they weren't. You said they weren't real problems, and they never were real problems. But they were the problems that you would talk about in order to avoid talking about the real problems.
Oh, yes.
So
But you don't even know
you
it.
don't know it until you.
Until you're out of that cycle or that
Yeah.
mode, you don't realize what it actually is.
Oh, so those were actually like the deflection
Mm-hmm.
points. Oh, that's horrifying. That makes you think, where am I doing that in my life? I have to go home and think about that.
Right?
I have to sit at home and think about that later. Quietly.
Right,
at myself.
because that's like it goes back to like having debt or bills. Like, but you got to go to that job you don't like to pay the bills because you're working, and what you're making is already spent. You know, like you're not. And then it goes back to resentment towards the job because like there's stuff you want to buy. You know, you deserve more.
And then you don't have grace toward yourself, which is why paying yourself first is so important because it takes all of that away.
Yeah.
All of it.
All of it.
It's just one action step. And we, like, had always heard this concept that it was like, and we never knew, like, what it actually meant. Like, what do you mean pay yourself? Like, I'm getting paid. That is
Yeah.
paying myself. That's why I'm going to work. But
It doesn't make sense.
You're
How's that a
taking-
thing?
from your pay to actually pay your...
Getting it away from you, but you control it. It's yours.
Right, and I don't want people hearing this thinking like, okay, well they're putting like $5,000 in this account. Like, no, it's like $100 every 2 weeks.
It can start small.
The amount doesn't matter.
You know,
Just that
Oh,
the
man, I'm so
habit.
glad you said that.
Yeah.
because
I could
that's
hug, I
what's
could hug you. I
rewarding.
could hug you right now.
Let's hug it out. because there again, that we were struggling with that. It was like, okay, you know, what's the point of putting in a couple $100? Like, no, it does matter. Every
Oh.
amount, it doesn't matter what amount it is, it goes in there.
How do you know that?
What part?
The amount doesn't matter. How do you know that?
Because it doesn't. I just
No?
the
Is it because you've experienced slightly different amounts going into that account
We
at one
have.
time?
correct.
Hmm.
A few.
Yeah.
couple
There is
dollars.
nothing different between putting $50 in it and $108,000 in one day. Speaking of 108 grand,
Here it comes.
speaking of 108 grand in a single day,
Zach
what's
and
that?
Shelby had a.
$108,000 day.
That's incredible.
In a day.
I mean, you paid yourself 108 grand in one day.
Yeah. We did.
Just to put that into context, that used to take me 4.5 years at my last job.
Well, at our job, what, 5 years ago?
3 years ago, 4 years ago, yeah. Combined.
You combining the
Combined,
two
yeah.
is the same.
We're getting
Yeah.
close to that. Honestly, it was a fraction of that. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, our
that's
two salaries combined at the school was not what you paid yourself in one day.
Yeah.
Or we paid ourselves.
So the reason I want to touch on that is because that's really principle 3, which is understanding true value. You went out and you located something that had a much higher true value than what was being advertised. So you purchased it at 40 cents on the dollar.
yeah.
You don't have to go through specific numbers just for the fact that we could be here all day talking. If you get us on numbers,
Right.
everyone's going to
It's
check out.
dangerous for everybody. Please
Everyone's
don't
I
get
know.
taught on numbers.
Keep it-
You're not wrong.
Everyone's going to check out, but you and I are going to be super excited. So long story short, you bought a property, 40 cents on the dollar, it had a ton of upside.
In buying that property, we're also solving problems.
Yeah. Yeah, you were
Well,
solving root problems for
explain what you mean by that for people who are watching.
Well, as far as that, the way this one started out, like, so I don't know how deep we want to get into it, but it
We
was,
don't need to get super deep.
it was basically a friend of yours reaching out of a property that was, you know, the stress was there that, you know, a relative had passed away and, you know, they just want to be done with it. You know, they want.
They wanted to move on.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
ready to move on, and they didn't know
Yeah.
how to.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
came in and, you know, bought the property from them, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, so we just took it from there. But we turned to a flip property of ours.
I was about to say and I was about to say the big piece here is you renovated the whole thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it was
All of it.
beautiful. I mean, you touched every square inch of this thing. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people don't see the pain that is involved in property. Like if there's a problem large enough, the numbers go away to begin with, but there's an actual sentimental value there,
Right.
and it's not in good condition, and you don't have the resources and skills to fix it. Like that's an overwhelming.
It becomes a weight.
That's a bad
for
place
people.
to. That's a bad place to be. So being able to be that solution or be part of that solution is it, dude. That's where the money is never the root. It is always the byproduct.
Exactly.
So you solving that as the root, the byproduct was that you were rewarded with the 108 in a day.
Yeah. That to me is what's satisfying, is being able to help somebody, like I said, just relieve that weight or that stress. You know, like I said, just everybody's got a different pain point, you know. So what is it? So what can we do to solve that?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that was big for them, you know. It was, you know, like I said, it changed their life, you know.
You heard about $100,000 a day possibility 3 years ago.
Yeah. That was something that just stood out to me 3 years ago. That was like inconceivable. It was like, how's that possible?
Yeah.
You know, it was like that was my ceiling. That was my goal.
Yeah, to put some context to that, I had made a training. It's called the 100K day, and it was all about this specific process to earning $100,000 in a single day by being open to receiving, open to problem solving, being solution oriented, and then investing properly. And you did it in under 3 years. In under 3 years, you went from wondering if it was possible to having it happen. That's amazing.
It is. We're still taking all that in.
Yeah, now you get to accept it. Now you get to make that a norm. Like you get to make that a floor.
It is. That is our.
I mean,
like
you
I
get to
said,
make it a standard.
That was my ceiling, our ceiling, and now it's our floor, and
Yeah.
you know, and
It is our standard, yeah.
Yeah, you've proven to yourself now. You have undeniable proof that you have the ability to solve a 100K minimum problem.
and we could repeat that. That's the thing. What we've learned or what we put in place, the steps that we're putting in place, the practices that we're following, you know, we can repeat that. You know, because now we're practicing well, we're stewarding well, we're able to pay ourselves that, and that's what's hard too. When I say hard, like we're spending less, we've got our debt paid off, but we have more money coming in. Like
we were talking about this driving, that it doesn't make sense until you experience it.
Yeah,
No.
it's so hard to explain.
It's hard to explain.
It's so hard. So, like in my mission of ending our mission of ending financial suffering, it's a nightmare to explain.
When you say it doesn't make sense, you mean like you don't know how to put into words what it's like to experience it, or
No, sorry. I remember. Okay, I don't know how far back we're gonna go, but when we really started the one-on-ones with you guys, I remember Todd saying, "It's like you guys are gonna come to that point to where you've got your debt paid off, you got your finances in order. You're going to be, spending more, I guess, or buying what you want, but with using good practices, like so we're buying what we want, but
But you have more money too.
we have more money.
Right, and
like how's that?
it grows.
Yeah.
It keeps growing.
Yeah, you're gonna pay yourself. You're not gonna necessarily need to make any more. You're gonna pay yourself more and also have more to spend.
Yes, that's what
How's
it
that
was.
possible? It's not what
Exactly.
you're taught, because you're not taught anything.
Right, but that's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite things to work with people is when they want to buy a new personal house, which like one of your North Stars, like building your house is so exciting. It's because look, you're going to get the house that you want. If you do this correctly, you're going to get the house that you want. All right. It's going to be 5 to 10x as valuable as whatever you're living in now.
Yeah.
But you're also going to have more liquid cash when you're done and you're in the house. And you go, what? You're like, yes, that's exactly how it works. So you're going to get the house and have more money.
How's that possible?
But how is that possible? But that's exactly how it works because you're operating properly. We're alongside a handful of people right now, all experiencing that exact same thing, where they're getting the house and have more money at the end of the day.
Because that's
Yeah.
all we keep saying. Like, we text each other back and forth or whatever. It's like, hey, we're building a house.
We are building
A
a house.
And you send a picture of the steak. There it is. That's
Yeah.
where it starts.
all it
It
is,
starts
steak.
right there in that corner.
I do. It's like he's in our phone.
Oh, you actually do that?
In the Bible,
Ew.
Yeah, I'm so happy about that.
in the Bible, it says, "To whom much is given, much is required." And so, part of that is you accepted the responsibility that comes with each leveling up, and you've done it quickly. So some people want to level up, but they don't want to accept the responsibility that comes with leveling up,
Right.
right? And as you have continued to steward well, the more keeps coming to you because you're willing to accept the responsibility that comes with it. So when you're dealing with larger numbers, there's a responsibility that comes with that. Even though it's just a number,
It is just a number.
you're dealing with the problems. You're dealing with like when you're flipping, you have different lenders that come in that you may use, and there's responsibility that and obligations that you have to those people.
Mm-hmm.
But you're willing to accept the responsibility
And the
So-
specific structure to protect.
Yeah,
And,
and do it wisely. So you'll continue to have that that happen where the money is coming and
That's part of the other
And you're able
transition,
to-
though. That's
to do well.
on the other side of things. Like I said, once you start practicing that, like you said, well, it's happening so quick. You know, it's like, I hate to say too quick, but it's like, all right, you know, we're still getting used to it, you know, so it's hard not to go back in, I say, you know, the survival mode. Because, I mean, that was, I've had that moment, you know, just a few days ago. It's like, you know, we had the ability to build a house and to enjoy ourselves and to have X amount of dollars put back. But, like, we're able to live the life we want.
yeah.
But how's that possible? Like, you know, almost it's like it's happening so quick.
Which is further proof that the money doesn't solve anything.
It does not.
Because all that up and down would be gone. You'd be like, oh, made 100 in a day, got all this money saved up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why is that feeling coming back? Because there's a root somewhere else that
Exactly.
you're in the process of solving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we are. Like I said, it's, you know, we're working through that. Like I said, you got to be able to accept it and be open to it. And then that's always been hard for me. You know, we worked for it and deserve it. So
I want to close this with
Oh, a little tune.
yeah, a little jam there. That was gangster.
it's my reminder to drink my water.
Oh, my
I gotcha.
God.
Gotta keep that in place.
I cannot believe that's a real thing. That is a real thing. That's-
Denise's healthy habit.
yeah.
right.
So
Yeah.
my healthy
Every
calendar.
2 hours.
My health
alarm
calendar.
goes off.
Yeah. So I wanna close this with us actually just sharing with you like how you inspire and excite us. You wanna go first?
Oh, you can go first.
You want me to go first? So one of my favorite things about you guys is your ability to stay open, but your true ability to want to do it together and to work together on it and be okay with it not being perfect, and then adapting and adjusting and listening and practicing the principles and seeing and accepting the results, because the ability to practice well day to day and just adopting that infinite game is so much more important than any like little one-off success. And that's what you've truly adopted. So that's really exciting to me. That's why I love working with you guys every day.
I don't want to go because I don't want to cry.
And I told you.
Okay, I'm not gonna cry.
Did I not
worry,
give? Did I
Okay.
not
with
give?
you.
Did I not give her
Okay.
the opportunity to go first?
I am honored that we get to work with you because watching you guys grow is a blessing
Yeah.
to us. It really is. But most importantly, your ability to be vulnerable and talk about the hard things in order to bring them to light so that you can, you know, get healing and move forward. And seeing your guys' faith walk as you yeah, I know, let's not
Pull it together. Pull it together.
suck it up. Seeing your guys' faith walk and watching all how God has just moved in your life has been like truly a blessing, and I'm honored that we get to be a part of what God's doing in your life and pour into you guys and watch you grow. So
We appreciate it, truly. Like, you guys mean the world to us, and we just can't thank you guys enough. I mean, both of you, we're here for a reason, I feel, and we're on the path of what's designed for us.
No. Most importantly, let's talk race cars. All right, what we do, I won't do that to everybody. So what Aisley, Aisley's
I can't
done.
listen to race car talk anymore.
So never mind, we're gonna dig into this
That's why
thing.
we came here. No.
So, in the spirit of Aisley, what she likes to do to wrap up every episode, she goes, "We did it!" And then she does the spirit fingers.
Oh, okay.
You're not doing the spirit fingers. She's gonna be disappointed in you. All right, let's go party.